Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Hey, can I be heard by everyone?
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Okay. I want to welcome all of you to this course, CDA 504 Elements of Management. My name is Sylvester Ilo, and I'm happy to have all of you. For some reasons, we could not start this course with other ones, but I promise you, it is a course with a narrow scope. In a very short contact, we are going to be done with this course. So it's not going to take us a lot of time. And it's not like any other course you're offering now. It is something that we talk about on a daily basis, something we use all the time. I'm sure that most of us have had something to do with the contents of this course. So it's not a strange course. It's not abstract. It's something that every one of us is familiar with. So I don't know if you can see the shared screen, right?
Yes, I can.
Can you all see the shared screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that is fine. So, like I called it, the 504 Elements of Management. This is the basic course that gives you the foundation for all the courses you'll be offering in the discipline of management. Then I want to give something like the course study guide, the few things you need to know about the course. So, Introduction to Management, Elements of Management are the same. It's a 3-unit course, first semester. My name is Sylvester Silo. I have a co-facilitator by name, Kenneth Ubonna. So in situations where I'm not available, Ken will be available. I'm trying to see if he has joined the class. He has not, but he will soon join the class. So we offer this course jointly. Then I want to give you the overview of this course. Like I told you earlier, it has a narrow course content. You can see it has only 4 modules. Each module has 2 study units. So if we want to finish the course today, we can. We can spend like 4 hours, 1 hour for each of the module, and we are done. But because it's going to be interactive, and I want all of us to have fun taking this course, we're not going to spend just 4 hours on this course. We are going to interact. So if you have any question, if you want to make contribution, just indicate by raising your hand. Like I said, this course is not abstract. What this course does is that those things we've been doing subconsciously, those things we do in our families, in our homes, in our personal lives, in our churches, in our workplaces, we are going to give basic understanding, basic definitions, the concepts, the principles that underline them. So nothing is strange. It's not like a course you will offer later or you're offering now, for example, operations research or quantitative technique that will be abstract. You have to learn from the beginning to the end. No, this is different. So anytime, anywhere, you feel you want to make a contribution, share personal experience, you are welcome. Just raise your hand and you'll be given audience to make your contribution because every one of us learns. So the first module is Introduction to Management. The 2 things we'll be doing here the meaning of management, and the basic concepts in management. The second one is management roles and styles. Simply put, what management is expected to do in every situation. If you're the manager of your home, there are some roles that are expected you to play in your home. If you are the personal manager of yourself, there are some roles expected that you should be playing for yourself. If you look at our musicians, our footballers, all those artists, you see that this person is the manager. So imagine you becoming a manager of an artist like Davido, like Whiskey. What are your roles? So this is where we'll be discussing it. Management styles. Now that you have known your role or the roles you are going to play because of your position, what are the styles available or you are disposed to? So that's what we'll be discussing under management styles. Then the next module will be theories of leadership and motivation. You begin to ask yourself, why will we be talking about leadership and motivation? The answer is just a simple thing. Management gets things done through and with people. Therefore, you need to consider how people are led. You don't lead material resources, but you lead human resources. The same thing with motivation. You don't motivate financial resources. You don't motivate material resources, but you motivate human resources. So human resources, motivation, leadership, they are major roles of management. Then the last module, we'll be looking at organization. Anything called organization, we are going to explore what they are and how you will now apply all the skills, all the roles, the styles, the knowledge you have in management in managing organizations. Then you look at the functional areas of business. We are coming from the business background. That is why our first fruit will be business organizations. So if you succeed in managing business organizations, you are going to succeed in managing every form of organization. Now, we're going to start with Module 1 and Study Unit 1. Module 1 is talking about Introduction to Management. Then Study Section 1 is Meaning of Management. Like I said earlier, this course, this term, management, is used on a daily basis. It's not new. It's not abstract. We talk about it. We use it. We converse with it. So you must have heard some people, or even yourselves, making reference to what they manage. I'm managing myself. They are managing themselves, managing their families, managing businesses, organizations, managing problems. You have a problem, you need to manage it, or managing the economy. So one thing it tells you is that management pervades every aspect of our ordinary lives and well-being, and as such deserves a formal definition or set of definitions that govern its applicability to solving human problems. Now, because it has relevance to what we do on a daily basis, you're not going to have one definition that will suit all situations. You are going to have various definitions about management. People are going to define management the way it applies to their situation, the way it applies to their circumstance, and the way it applies to their lives. So we'll be looking at very few of them, very few of these definitions. So from somebody that had adjudged as the father of modern management, Frederick Taylor, he said that management is knowing what person or group of persons should do and devising ways of doing them efficiently. So management is all about you knowing what you expected to do. And when you say what you expected to do, you refer to when we say management roles. So if you happen to be at the management level of your family, the question will now be, what are you expected to do because of your position? So in this case, the person who is the manager of the family should do and devise means of doing them efficiently. So if you are to manage your family, there are some expectations. So how you devise means of meeting these expectations in the most efficient way is known as management. Then going beyond him, another person that did a lot of work in modern management is Peter Drucker. He said that managerial actions are having synergetic effects in which an individual or a group of individuals should create a productive entity turns out more that it receives as input. Now, whenever you hear things like turns out more than input, you refer back to what Frederick Taylor said about efficiency, efficiently. Anything that makes your output to be more than your input means that you are efficient. So with this definition, you could see that there are some terms we need to be mindful of. Synergetic effects. It means that management does not exist in a vacuum. You are going to have a set of other resources that you are meant to combine in such a way that the overall output will be more than the input. Now let's go to a more recent definition by Akbala, 1990. Management is a process of combining and utilizing or allocating organizations' inputs. Then what are organizations' inputs? Man, machines, materials, and money. By doing what? By planning, organizing, directing, and controlling for what? For the purpose of producing outputs. What are these outputs? Goods or services, or whatever the organizations are, then desired by customers, so that the organization's objectives are achieved. This is a very wide definition, but it covers everything. You could see that what an organization should produce, which will now be a measure of the managerial skills or managerial efficiency or whatever, is not only goods and services. If you look at any organization you know, for instance, Nestle, you can tangibly pick what they produce. Nestle produces water, Nestle water, and the rest. Now, look at MTN. They offer services. Then, when you look at a government establishment, you may not see a product, you may not see a tangible service. So, are you saying that management is not applicable there? No, it's applicable because they are created for a purpose, which could be guided by the mandates. They call it mandates, the mandates of this agency. So these are what they are expected to render to the customers. Then the next definition I have here is by Weyrich and Kronz. Management is the process of designing and maintaining an environment in which individuals working together in groups efficiently accomplish selected aims. One thing you are going to see across all these definitions, even when you have more definitions, you are going to be getting things like aims, objectives, meeting these aims, meeting these objectives, meeting them efficiently. So anytime we are discussing about management, you should have it in your mind that there are set of objectives, there are set of intentions, there are set of aims that a person, group of persons, organization, group of organizations are pursuing to achieve. Achieving these organization, these aims and objectives are not only the end of management, you are expected to achieve these aims efficiently. So when we go beyond now, we are going to be getting, when we go to the concepts, it will be clear how these terms efficiently is being measured. Then there is another definition that is operational, which I want us to look at. It's by Moore, 1994, who opines that management is a broad endeavor of human undertaking that could be seen in different perspectives. So this definition is not about what? It's about the way we look at management, the way or circumstances we could understand management. So the first one is looking at management as a collective noun. So if you are looking at management as a collective noun, you simply refer to people, the superordinates in the organization. They are in the high echelon of authority in the organization that direct activities of others who are the subordinates. So when you say the management team, you see a document and they say so and so signed management. It becomes a collective noun. It's not one person. It means a group of persons working together. Then the second one is management as a career or a profession. So beyond looking at management as a collective noun, you can look at management as a career or someone's profession. In this case, it refers to means of earning a living or what you do as a job. So this is more so when it has to do with directing the activities of others towards realizing the organizational goal. So the difference between the first and the second is that we are going to see later. Not everybody who is in management cadre, who is management group, started a career in management. True of us? True of us?
True.
Okay. Let me give a classic example. Imagine that you read engineering, and when you finished school, you worked in an engineering firm, then you left and started your own engineering firm. At the point of you starting an engineering firm, putting together human material and other resources to have an organization that is running, you'll become a manager, even though your background is engineering. So you may have some people in this perspective called collective noun, management, and nobody there started a career in management. So who are the people in this second perspective? You know, these are the people we call management trainees. Management trainees. So you are being groomed to be a manager later in your career. Then the third perspective is management as a discipline or a field of study. Like what we are doing here. Whatever we are doing here falls under this third perspective, that management is a discipline. People buy JAM form, fill it. What do you want to study in the university? They want to study management. So that is the third perspective of management. Then the final is management being a standard of performance, as in a standard to measure somebody's ability, somebody's performance, to measure how a circumstance, a situation, an event is managed. So when you hear things that, they mismanaged the situation, there is an uprising, the government mismanaged it. Just the way we have the pandemic. You now begin to compare countries against countries. How many have we tested up to today? It's about 40,000. How long will it take us to test the 200 million that we have? What about another country that is fewer in number, but they are testing more? You begin to say that they are not managing this pandemic very well. There is even an accusation that the head of World Health Organization is not managing the situation very well. So at this point, the perspective becomes that you are using management to assess how well somebody is managing a situation. Do you have any questions so far? Any questions so far? Nobody has raised hands so far. So is it that it's abstract, or so far so good? Like I said, it's meant to be an interactive class because nothing we are doing here is new. If you have not managed a firm before, no problem. But you cannot say that you have not managed anything. At least you have managed yourself. As we are talking now, you are the one that logged on, joined the class. That is a way of to assess management that we're talking about. So management is not meant for managers. Everybody is a manager. It's only a baby that needs everything from the parent that you can say that this one cannot manage himself or herself. But everybody, once you can be responsible for yourself, you automatically become a manager. Okay, so we make progress. The nature of management, the nature of study of management. So in this way, I want to pose a question. If I say the nature of management, which perspective of management am I talking about now? The nature of management. Which perspective of management am I talking about? We're asking a question. Is management science or art?
Business management.
Yeah, I'm asking a question. Is management, we don't always say business management because we are limiting the scope of the course. We say management because you can apply everywhere. You can apply management in any situation. Business management, there are other management. So let me go back to the perspectives. So I'm asking a question here. We are asking here, is management science or art? So which perspective are we referring to in this situation? Is it management as a collective noun, management as a career or profession, or is it management as a discipline or field of learning, or management as standard performance?
I think it's a discipline.
It's discipline.
Discipline? Okay.
Yeah, I
Any
think so.
other person with contrary view or contrary opinion?
Or to be more direct, sir, I feel that no matter how you look at it, it's a science.
It's what?
It's
Sorry?
across board. I think it's a science across board.
Okay. Okay, let's go back to it. Now, when you ask, is management science or art? The dominant perspective here is the study of management. Is study of management art or science? But by extension, it goes to every other perspective because those in the management cadre, what do? Do they apply management as an art, or do they apply management as a science? But the
As an
dominant
art.
thing, sorry?
As an art.
Okay, so the first opinion is that management is an art. Who else?
Both
Okay,
science and art.
okay. Anyone else? Okay. Remember I mentioned Frederick Taylor, who was the first person to have to documented scientific applications in management. Before then, management was seen as an art. Management was seen as using all the attributes, all the conditions applicable in the study of other arts disciplines, but he did a lot of work in quantitative management, and that changed the whole thing. So, since his work, management is not only art, is not only science, but a combination of both science and art. So, you are right to say that management is an art, you are right to say that management is science. So, management is both of them. Okay, we're going to be looking at the basic attributes of management. The basic attributes. Anytime we're discussing management, what are the underlying characteristics? What we come to somebody's mind that management is? So the first one is goal-oriented. If you remember when we are defining management, when we are looking at different definitions of management, we kept saying one thing. We kept saying aims. We kept saying objectives, achieving them efficiently. So management is goal-oriented. It means that the end in the activities and processes of management is attainment of objectives, which are usually predefined. So management does not exist in a vacuum. Something takes management to come into existence. If you see some people at the CAC, I ask them, what do you want to do? They will tell you, what is going on? You know, when we have noise, it affects what we do. Okay, 1 minute, please. Okay, back to what I'm saying. If you come around the CAC, Corporate Affairs Commission, and you see people saying that they want to register a firm, just ask them, what do you want to use the firm to do? They will tell you, okay, we want to set up a firm that will do this, that will do that, that will do this, that will do that. These are the goals these organizations want to achieve. You'll now see that achieving goals are the driving force behind having an organization. And when you have the organization, what happens? You need to put structures in place to achieve those goals that pushed you to register the firm, that pushed you to have the organization. So management is goal-oriented. The end in whatever you do in management is how far, how much, how well you've achieved the predefined objectives. Where you don't have predefined objectives, or where you don't have objectives that are in the first place, management becomes an issue because you don't have a direction. You don't even have any yardstick to measure what you have achieved. So management is goal-oriented. The implication is that organizations must have specific and measurable goals, which become the yardstick to measure managerial performance. Now, if you're asking the person that wants to register a firm, what do you want to achieve with this firm? And the person has listed so many things. At the end of any period, a month, a year, 10 years, whatever, the measure of managerial ability, managerial success is how much, how far, how well these organizations, these goals have been achieved. The next one is management is people-oriented. Management is people-oriented. Management is act of working with and through people to achieve goals. There are two key things you need to know. You need to note here. One is working with and working through people. They mean two different things. Working with means that You don't just work. You work with people. You direct them. You guide them. Then working through them is you may not always be there to work with them. Therefore, in your absence, does it mean that work is shut down? No, you delegate. So when you use people to achieve what you would have achieved while being there, then you are working through people. Then the third attribute is management is a process. It's not an event. It's not one time something you do. You calibrate a machine, you go and sit down. The machine starts to run. No, it is a process. So the primary task of management is to convert productive resources of an organization to desired output in the most efficient manner. If you are looking at this, it is simple. The primary task is to convert productive resources. That means these resources are laying idle. These resources are independent. So the task of management is to bring these productive resources towards achieving output in the most efficient manner. When you look at this statement, you now see that it will have a start point, it's going to have an end point. Then you have a loop. You go over it and over it. So it therefore means that management undertakes the process of converting inputs into output. Then you come and assess how well you have done, you have handled this process. Then the next thing, the next attribute is management exerts influence. Management exerts influence. Management can only work through people if they can maintain considerable influence over them. Ability to influence others distinguishes the human resources from other productive resources available to an organization. Human resource inputs are not procured. Just the way you say you want to procure a machine. No, you don't procure human resources. You hire human resources. So what it means that human resources is not like every other resource of an organization. So you need to influence them. For instance, if you want to buy machine, if you have done all your calculations, done your project appraisal, and the machine will increase value of your firm, value of your organization, value of your entity, you go ahead and procure it. You install it. You don't have any issue with anybody. You don't have to influence the machine. All you need to do is to calibrate the machine the way you want the machine to work. Then the same thing is now applicable working with people. Remember that we said that management is people oriented. That means the way you have, your approach, your disposition to other resources will not be your disposition to human resources. Like I was saying, if you have machinery and you want to increase the output of the machinery, what do? If you ask the manufacturers, they will tell you. You will even see it in the manual. Now, when you are talking about human resources, human assets, if you want the best from them, you don't do exactly what you did to a machine. In fact, there is something you do to human resources. The next day, you will be dealing with lawyers. You will be sued. There are a lot of employment laws guiding relationship between management and employees. So what do? That is why we say that management exerts influence. You influence people to behave in the way you want them to behave because you cannot calibrate them. The only thing you can do is to influence them. Then the next attribute, which is the last attribute, is management practice requires fundamental knowledge or principle. To practice as a manager and get results, one requires formal knowledge of fundamental concepts, principles, and theories of management. Now, I can explain this in for you to understand. Before now, I have said that not every manager or every person in management cadre studied management. But eventually you see yourself managing something. This is why you have this course called MBA, Masters in Business Administration. Ask yourself, why is this course so popular? And I can say that many of you here are taking this journey because of what I'm trying to explain now. I used example of an engineer. If you are a graduate engineer, you are a trainee engineer in a firm, your immediate task is for you to deliver on the engineering concepts, engineering ideas you have learned over years. So engineering designs, engineering concepts, engineering supervisions, you will be doing that. As you are doing this, you will be growing in your career. At a point, you will be asked to, you will be appointed or you are promoted to manage an engineering session. At a point, you are going to be a branch manager or branch engineer or whatever of the same firm. At this point, what is needed of you is no more the technical things. No. At this point, you have young junior engineers working under you. So your job is no longer doing engineering work yourself. Your job becomes managing the young engineers, the junior engineers, subordinates who are engineers to deliver on their jobs. What you did some years ago in your career, you are now managing them. You'll be managing projects, you'll be managing human beings under you, you'll be managing investments. So at this point, you will need to have a fundamental knowledge, the fundamental principles. These are when you now have to do an MBA. They will tell you that you have to do MBA. MBA is primarily leadership in business. And once you mention leadership, leadership is not of financial resources, material resources, or whatever. Leadership is all about human resources. And this is why, as you are growing at a point in your career, you will need an MBA. So if you have not considered it, or if you have friends who are climbing, they are graphic artists, they are scientists, they are whatever, as they are being promoted to be head of units, head of desk, head of an organization or whatever, they need an MBA. And this is what we are doing now. So, this course, Elements of Management, is not a course you just do and go. It is a course that you need to go, you need to undertake, then go to where you are going to. So it's basic. So based on this, I would say that for you to function as a manager, a good manager, you need formal knowledge of management. And this is what we are getting the basics in this course. There are other ones. We're going to do human resource management, project management, which other one? There are many, strategic management and the rest. So all these will equip you on how to manage a new situation that you are going to find yourself. Then the next thing is that we have come to the end of this unit. Module 1, Unit 1 has come to an end. So the summary of this unit is that management is both arts and science of utilizing the resources of an organization towards achieving its predefined goals. So it is both arts, it is both science that does what? Utilizes the resources of an organization for what purpose? Towards achieving predefined objectives. So the practice and field of management employs both skills of arts and principles of science. This is why it is both science and arts. Management could be viewed as a collective noun, as a profession, a field of study, or a yardstick for acceptable performance. So management is goal-oriented, people-oriented. Management is a process. It exerts influence, and above all, it requires fundamental principles for one to be a good manager. So we are going to pause here, have some feedbacks, have some questions, have some clarifications, inputs, and the rest. So I don't know if my coordinator is here with me. If you have any, if you want to make a contribution, please raise your hand. I'm going to give just a minute to know if we have any questions, anyone that needs clarifications, anyone that wants to make an input. After a minute, if none comes, we'll progress. Hello, Mr. Ken. Hello, Mr. Ken.
Hello. Hello, my prof.
Yeah, you can say hi to everyone.
Hello, my prof. Hi, my dear students.
Okay. Yeah. When we started, you had not joined, so I told him that I'm going to introduce you when you eventually join.
That's okay. I've been in the house for quite a long time now, but I've been listening with rapt attention.
All right. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
All right. Okay, class, do we have any questions, any clarifications, any needs so far? Okay, so we'll move quickly to Module 1, Study Session 2. And Study Session 2 is, we'll be looking at the basic concepts in management. The basic concepts in management. The basic concepts, they are very, very important because both for the exam, both for understanding management, we need to know them very well, where they are, how they are applied in everyday situation, in our organizations, in our homes, in everything we do. So they are very, very important. So the basic concept in management are the basic building blocks that underpin the understanding and application of management. So irrespective of the perspective of management one is interested, each of these concepts are applicable. These concepts guarantee the universal applicability of management practices. So that is why that was why I say that they are very, very important that we understand them, we know them, we play around them. Okay. The first concept is effectiveness. Effectiveness. So from the various definitions of management as presented in the preceding units, a common axiom is achieving the predefined objectives of an organization or establishment. So what then is effectiveness? So it simply means the ability of a manager or management staff or management team to achieve the objectives of the organization. So if you have set out to achieve 10 objectives spread across different time frames, the effectiveness of management is going to be assessed on the ability to achieve these objectives. So that's when you now say that this objective is not effective. This person is not effective. This drug is not effective. So if somebody is having an ailment and somebody has recommended, use this. If you use it, you are using it because there is an expectation. You want this ailment to go away. You want this ailment to subside, or whatever. So if you take the drugs and the expectation is met, you will say that, this drug is effective, or that drug is effective. If the contrary is the case, you say that it is not effective. So effectiveness, therefore, provides management the basis and direction of measuring its performance. The first one is the basis. The second one is the direction. So the basis means that you have been asked to achieve 1, 2, 3, 4 objectives. These are the mandates. These are the aims that you are meant to achieve. So these will be the basis upon which you are meant to be assessed, or upon which someone will say that, yes, you are either effective or you are ineffective. Direction of measurement means if there is a time frame, for what you expected, what you are meant to achieve. So you are going to be assessed based on the time frame. I could remember when this new government came on board. So after some time, people started complaining. Some people were saying it is too early for you to judge. It is too early. Even up to this moment, in the challenges they have had, some people are saying, give them more time. Some people are saying, no, why are we going to give them more time? It's all about the direction of measuring the expectations, which is the performance. Now, the best thing to do is for you to calibrate these expectations, which are performance, into, for you to have a direction, partition them into different time frames. As a new government, there are some expectations that you are meant to meet by the first day of taking power, by the first week of taking power, by the first month, by the first year. So you are not going to hold your hand and say, this government, they are going to be in power for 4 years. I'm not going to say anything until 4 years comes and goes. No, that is wrong. You quantify the expectations, you quantify their performance against time frame. So that is direction of measurement. So you are measuring them after a month. So after a month of being the manager of this branch of a business, what are the things that are expected? After a year, after 5 years, and so on. So effectiveness will bring the basis and the direction for measuring managerial performance. The second one is efficiency. Conveniently, people use effectiveness and efficiency interchangeably, but in management, they are not the same, even though they are related. One is an extension of the other. Why effectiveness is interested in the extent to which management achieves predefined objectives. Efficiency brings one concept, one new concept into it, which is prudency. Yes, you said you are going to achieve so and so in a year. You have so achieved it. The next question is, at what cost? Did you expend all the resources of an organization in achieving this? Remember, before now, we have said that management is achieving goals by combining resources and making sure that the value of output is more than the collective value of the input. Now, that is where efficiency comes in. Imagine that your output costs less than the input. You are not efficient. So efficiency is looking at cost expenditure. In achieving this predefined objective, at what cost are you achieving them? And this has been the problem with many organizations. They have a lot of carrying costs. So they could achieve a lot in terms of meeting the objective, but the cost is so high. A typical example is our government. the carrying cost, the cost of governance in Nigeria is so high. So even though you have achieved the stated objective, then the cost is so much. If you check the cost of roads, the cost of projects we do in this country, they are not sustainable. Why? They could be effective, but they are not efficient. So we now say that efficiency is a new basis to measure organizations. It's equally a new basis to measure even countries. When you be discussing something like the capital income, you are looking at what somebody earns this country against the next country. So efficiency can be used to know which organization is more efficient. And this is what controls their share prices in the stock markets. When you look at these firms that are doing well, but this one is more efficient. So you see investors being more interested in the organization which is more prudent than the other, because that one has a can survive in the long time. That organization is more sustainable. The third concept in management is primacy of planning. Primacy of planning. It simply means that, okay, there's a quick, somebody's raising a hand. Okay, let me unmute Danny. Danny, you can now unmute yourself and ask a question. Hello, Danny.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, yeah. So I wanted to ask, from the explanation of efficiency and effectiveness, right?
Yeah.
What I understand is efficiency cannot be guaranteed without effectiveness, because something has to be effective first before you say you are efficiently achieving that thing. Am I right?
You are right. I said it, that efficiency brings in a new concept after effectiveness. And this is where I say that, yes, you are effective. Then at what cost? Then the worst thing that can happen to somebody or a manager is that you are neither effective or efficient. In this situation, you are not meant to be a manager. You are not meant to be allowed to continue. These are the people that you ask to resign. You are neither effective nor efficient. If you are effective, but you are not efficient, you could look for consultants. They will come and look at your cost. There's a firm we consulted for. The issue is that they are making money. They are making money, but they are making losses. So when we assess the business have potential to make a lot of money, but the carrying cost is so much. So for this business, they are effective, but not efficient. They have customers. Customers like their brand. Customers patronize them, but they have many issues. One is that the business lacks internal control. The business lacks business control. So two controls lacking at the same time. Imagine a business that people don't know when they are meant to come to work and when they are meant to close. They will tell you that I know that I'm meant to resume by 8 a.m., but I don't know when I'm meant to close. Some of the businesses run, some of their outlets, they run 24 hours. So why running 24 hours? You have a lot of costs you are carrying by running 24 hours. Some people will even say, we have had one of the managers will say that they recruit almost on a daily basis. Who are you recruiting? Why are you recruiting? Who authorizes recruitment? So imagine an owner of a business does not know when somebody joins his payroll. You are going to pay who you have recruited. So what is the person coming to do? Have you quantified the person's output against input? Do you understand? So this one is talking about, this one is the lack of business control. Then internal control, they had a lot of lapses. A business, you don't have internal auditors. People go home with cash. They realized when they come to work the following day, they'll bring it to the cashier record. You begin to ask yourself, why? Why do you have to do that? A lot of cash will be lost. So, to meeting the organization's objective in rendering services and providing uh, products, goods and services to the society, the firm was in order. That is being effective, but they are not efficient. So it's only when you have effectiveness that you can now consider efficiency. You cannot have efficiency if you don't have effectiveness.
Effectiveness. Okay. Okay, thank you.
All right. Any further question from anyone? Okay, then primacy of planning means that planning is the most fundamental function of management. Planning has to be the first thing that every management will look out for. And like I said from the beginning, that what we manage is not only business, we manage ourselves. We manage a lot of things. We manage shows, we manage occasions. For many of us who are married, check when you got married, what happened? What did you do? What was your headache? What was headache is planning the wedding. You will be coordinating a lot of things. You will be thinking of a lot of things. So primacy of planning is the fundamental thing in management. So predefined objectives which every management invests the resources of the organization to achieve means that a form of planning comes first. What happens with planning is that many, many times we do it subconsciously. Like I explained in the beginning, that management is what we do every day. We take management positions subconsciously. The essence of this course is for us to even bring to our consciousness those things that we do that we never knew. So planning is just one of them. The principle of primacy of planning states that the managerial function of planning is the startup process for the entire management function. We'll be looking at sub-functions in management. We'll be talking about planning, directing, organizing, and controlling. For the rest three, planning will have to come first. It's only when you plan that you now know what to direct. It's only from your planning that you now say that, yes, I need this, I need that, I need this. Just like I used our wedding, our celebrations to give an illustration. It's when you say that I want to have an occasion, you now begin to ask questions like, who will be the MC? Who will be the gate man that will manage gate crashers? So when you are doing all these things, you have started with this principle. So before individuals go into business, it's not only business. I used planning your wedding as an example. So I will say before individuals go into business, go into having an occasion, doing anything, they always have in mind or have it documented what value they want to create. I'm using business as an example. What value they want to create. So what is the answer? Products and services. You want to offer products only? You want to offer services only? You want to offer both of them? Who to create these products and services for? You are looking at the market. There's something called market niche. People have been doing this, people have been selling this. I want to serve a particular market. So when you plan the niche, the particular segment of the market you want to address. That is the part of your planning. The next thing you ask yourself is, how do I create this? How do I create these products? How do I create and render these services? You are looking at what? Process. The process that are involved, the processes that are involved in bringing the goods and services to the identified market. Then the next thing you're going to ask yourself is, how much? How much are you going to charge for this? So you are going to do what they call price planning. You are going to you are going to plan the pricing. You could say that, no, every person can patronize my market. I'm not going to do market segmentation. Everybody is everybody. Pricing becomes part of your planning. Why creating the value? Individual or corporate objectives. So why do you want to create the value? Do you want to do it personally, or do you want to do it as an organization? Whichever means you want to deliver this to the market becomes part of your planning. You can say, as a person, some people render service as their individual, or you render service as a corporate entity. Whatever you do, are going to have a list of things that you must document that will lead you to this you want to create to the market. That's all we say under this primacy of planning. Then the next concept is division of work. Division of work. It has been long established that dividing the entire works of an organization into smaller tasks and duties, and assigning people to these bits of work according to their skill sets, according to their skill sets, improve the efficiency of an organization. Why? Because division of work comes with specialization. So imagine having an organization, you are not going to employ somebody who is expert in finance to be in manufacturing. So after planning what the organization will render to the market, the next thing is to partition them into different related assignments, related processes. Even when you identify them, like I said, there's a, in the remember the fourth module after organization, we talked about the functional areas of business. Functional areas of business comes under these basic concepts. But what are you doing under functional areas of business? You are identifying related activities, related tasks, related jobs. For instance, accounts and finance, human resources, manufacturing, warehouse, all these things are, you structure them using this guide of division of labor. In the eyes of the public, they see you as a firm, they see you as an organization. They don't know the structure you maintain internally. You are the one that will structure your business using this principle, using this concept of division of work, so that related jobs are assigned together. So division of work means breaking down of business processes, activities, and tasks, and assigning individual with relevant skills to undertake them, nothing more. In an organization where this is not spelled out or abused, you will see the implication there is underperformance. Beyond underperformance, there is abuse, because when you have not defined what a particular person will do from A to B, another person will do the rest. People sometimes will do everything, and this doing everything will mean doing nothing to your organization. The next one is parity of responsibility and authority. We need to understand these two terms, responsibility and authority. Responsibility is the obligation. which employees owe their organization with respect to carry out tasks and duties officially assigned to them. Then authority, on the other hand, is the power to command resources needed to discharge a given task or set of tasks. It's simply saying that when you are employed in an organization, you have what you are meant to be delivering to the organization. You have your job roles, you have your duties. In the job roster, you see your name on Monday, on Tuesday, or whatever. You will do 1, 2, 3. It is your job to do training, go to Abuja from Lagos to train some people or whatever. These are your responsibilities. You owe these responsibilities to the organization. So that is about responsibility. What is authority? Authority is the right you have over assets of an organization. The right, the authority you have over using them. So parity of responsibility and authority means that for whatever responsibility you are given in an organization, okay, sorry about that. Is it not better we all stay muted? If you have any question, you can raise your hand. So at any point in time, we don't lose time for anything. Okay, so parity of responsibility and authority means that for whatever responsibility you are duly assigned in an organization, you must have commensurate authority over assets or resources of an organization. If there is disparity between responsibility and authority, you will see the implication immediately. Let me start where you have more responsibility than authority. But before then, let me explain. If your job role is tomorrow is to be in a new location and do a particular work, you should be provided with commensurate authority, commensurate resources that will make you discharge this responsibility effectively and efficiently. So if you are meant to be in Abuja tomorrow for a training, you should have the cost, you should have access, you should have authority, you should have command of resources that will take you from Lagos to Abuja for you to carry out this assignment. Now, where there is disparity, you will see the symptoms immediately. Where you have more responsibility than authority, the implication that you will be underperforming. You are not going to achieve what you are meant to achieve, or if there is parity between authority and responsibility. So the firm will be losing in terms of value. You are meant to achieve task A, B, C, D. But because you have limited resources, limited authority over resources of the organization, you are not going to achieve more. So you see this is very, very glaring in our public agencies. Somebody had been recruited in the Federal Civil Service. There is no table, there is no desk, there is nothing. So the person will be choosing when to come to work. There is no table for me to see. So why do you want me to be coming? You have been employed, you don't even have an office. If you don't have an office, where will you be when you come to work? So it becomes a great loss to the organization. Then the other one is that where you have more authority than resources. When you have more authority than responsibilities, human beings are, are greedy in nature. So imagine that what it will take you to do your full-time work tomorrow is only 20,000, that you have access to 50,000. Nobody will tell you what you're going to do with the remaining 30,000. So when we are talking about corruption, this is what breeds corruption. When you have power over resources of an organization more than your responsibility, the rest becomes history, because nobody will want the excess to flow back to the organization. This is where you have abuse. This is where you have corruption. This is where, once you hear abuse of office, abuse of position, go and check what happened. Go and audit the organization. There is mismatch between responsibility and authority. There's nothing. There's nothing beyond that. Okay. Then the next basic concept um, is delegation. Delegation of duty and authority. As we captured in the definition of management, that as a group of people that work with and through people to achieve stated objectives. It simply means that there is no way you are going to have an effective management without delegation of duties and authority. You know, in this situation, as I simply put, delegation of duty and authority. It is coming back from what we studied here, parity of responsibility and authority. In delegation of duty, the principle of parity of responsibility and authority comes here, because he's saying that management should delegate duty and authority. It simply means that don't delegate duty without delegating appropriate or commensurate authority. So by working through people, management will definitely assign their tasks, their duties, and authorities to subordinates who have the capability to perform these tasks. So the first underlying requirement is that whoever you are delegating duties to should have the capacity to perform those duties. The next thing that whatever you are delegating, which is the duty now, you have to delegate commensurate authority. So if you are meant to make presentation somewhere, but because you're not going to be available, therefore you are delegating that particular duty, you must make sure that the subordinates you are delegating this duty to, you allow the person commensurate authority. For instance, you as the manager, you have your personal car with personal driver. You are meant to make presentation. If you are not going to go, you are delegating it to a junior person. You are going to make arrangements on how this junior person will have to be there. Either your driver will drive him or somebody else, that are going to make sure that the delegated duty on that particular junior officer will have authority over. It mustn't be money or material resource. It could be time. If you are delegating a task to me and I have my task all day, you are going to make a shift so that I will have time to carry out the delegated authority. So time is equally a resource to an organization. Then the next basic concept in management is span of control. This principle recognizes that humans have natural limits to their ability to supervise people effectively. The principle of span of control states that there should always be a limit to the number of subordinates that a manager can effectively supervise. So this is where we all go to acquire managerial skills of managing people. If you cannot manage people, that means you are not a good manager. I think there's in one of past questions, there is a question that was asked on what are the considerations for this span of control? What and what can play a role on the size of a manager's span of control? And one of them is education. One of them is competence. Imagine you are not educated, you are not equipped with the right skills in managing subordinates. Your span of control will be narrow. Your span of control will be low. But if you have taken courses in human resources, you've taken courses in motivation, you've taken courses in leadership, your span of control will be wider than any of your mates that have not taken these courses, because it means that you can control more people, you can supervise more people than the other person. So the principle of span of control states that there should always be a limit for the number of subordinates that a manager can effectively supervise. So depending on the nature of work, a manager can supervise 5, 10, 15, as the case may be. Another consideration is the nature of the organization, the type of work you do. Another consideration is the use of information technology. You know, if you are going to supervise 10 persons, you are going to supervise 10 persons manually. It will not be the same if you are going to provide these same 10 persons with the aid of information communication technology. Just ask yourself, at this period of this pandemic caused a lot of change in the way people work. Many of us work from home. So information systems have been set up that managers can still control their employees remotely. So in this situation, where it's difficult for you to manage 5 persons physically, it's possible for you to manage 50 persons using information communication technology. So there are some questions like, what are considerations on span of control? What can influence managers' span of control? These I've mentioned are the things to consider. Then the next one is unity of command. Unity of command. The principle of unity of command evolved from span of control. It states that in structuring organizational roles and responsibilities, subordinates should be accountable to only one supervisor at any point in time in the organization. It simply provides that every employee should take orders from and be answerable to only one supervisor. So when in structuring an organization, don't make it so that there will be conflict. Don't make it so that there is an employee that reports to 2 persons at the same time. It is wrong. It brings conflict. It brings disaster in an organization. So unity of command means that at any point in time, every person reports to a person. Every person, even the chief executive officer, he reports to the board of directors. So don't create a vacuum. Two ways that this concept can be abused. You have someone that reports to two different persons, or you have someone who reports to nobody. So these are the two cases where the unity of command as a concept is abused. The next one is unity of direction. Unity of direction applies to corporate objectives. Anyone joining an organization is joining for two reasons. These two reasons mirror themselves. So the organization has expectations, things you are coming to do for them that will add to their overall corporate objective. You as a person joining, you are joining because you have your own pressing needs, which you want the organization to achieve for you. So because you're a graphic artist, the firm that is into graphics is employing you because of the value you possess. So when you come, your contributions, your outputs will add to the overall corporate offering of the organization, which is good. You're not coming to do charity. You're coming with your own personal needs, which will mean personal objectives. So in coming, please say this unity of direction means that once you join the organization, all the activities of the organization will be directed towards achieving the corporate objective of the organization. There's something happens. Sometimes people join an organization without even knowing what they join. Like I gave an example of a firm we consulted. And in fact, the first day we came to the site, interview was to go on. So we asked one of the people one of the applicants, are you for interview today? The lady said yes. What are you being invited for? She doesn't know. She did not know. So why did you come? She showed us the text. You have been invited for an interview. Interview for what? Interview as what? So this employee coming to join the firm may not know how her own contributions will join to the overall corporate objective of this organization. So this is where you will now see what they call conflict of interest. The interest of the organization is stated in their corporate objectives. So any person coming to join this organization should know these corporate objectives, corporate intents. So you are coming to whatever you do in your capacity as an employee of the firm should contribute to the overall corporate objective. Now, some people come because this was not defined, because this was not envisaged, because this was not stated, the organization, the person will come into the organization and start pursuing the private intentions, the private objectives. So this is where we can say that there is conflict of interest, and it is an issue in every organization. If you are accused, if you are guilty of conflict of interest, it becomes a punishable offense in an organization because you are meant to render services. You are meant to render services that will add to the corporate objectives of the organization. The next one is subordination of individual interest to organizational interest. It's naturally flows from the one we have mentioned before, which is unity of direction. So unity of direction is saying that contribution, everything done in the organization should be united, should be pointing to the corporate objectives of the organization or the entity. Then the next one is subordination of individual interests to organizational interests. Remember, I explained that people joining an organization, they have their own personal interest, which is individual interest. But there is what they call organizational interest, which is being guided by the corporate objective. So employees and workers are usually people who join the organization so as to meet some certain portions of their personal needs. So this concept is saying that you are not going to allow these personal needs to override the corporate needs of the organization you are going to join or you are joining. Why these needs and interests are genuine, the concept of subordination of individual interests to organizational interests shows that the organizational interest must come first. So at any point in time, you are guilty of placing your personal interest above organizational interest. You are guilty of conflict of interest. So this concept holds prime the interest of organization and consequently prohibits conflict of interest by employees. This is why conflict of interest is a gross misconduct in any work environment. So this gross misconduct coming from insubordination of individual interest over organizational interest, it comes in many ways. In fact, in certain studies, it was discovered that many employees don't even know when they are guilty of this conflict of interest. A very common one is when you are using the time of an organization for personal things, like marketers in the bank, in the bank, they do this a lot. They will say they are going for marketing. They will use the bank's time, the bank's car, the bank's driver to do their personal things. To them, they have gone to see a customer, they have gone home. In fact, driving home, if you are meant to work for the firm between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., in between you have break. If you use your break, then while on marketing, you now go home and do one or two things. It is gross misconduct. The issue with this is that it is always difficult to prove. It's always difficult to even prosecute. But at any time, you are using organizational resource in terms of time, in terms of material, in terms of human resources, in terms of the skills they have paid for your personal needs. It is called conflict of interest and it is a gross misconduct. Then the next one, which should be the final concept, is remuneration of personnel. So if you expect employees not to be guilty of conflict of interest, if you expect them to channel their abilities, their skills, their resources, their time into achieving the stated objectives of an organization, what do you do for them? So what is your own obligation to these people who are sacrificing their time, their skills, investing their time, investing their skills, investing their competencies? The principle said that these people should be fairly remunerated. The reward can be anything, but should be stated. The reward can be financial, it can be non-financial. Later in this course, we'll be seeing how employees are remunerated. There are two ways, there are two broad categories, financial remuneration and non-financial. So when we get there, we'll see. In this, you could see the underlined, I mentioned it said fairly remunerated. Fairly. This is where organizations abuse this concept because there is no stated yardstick for remunerating organizations. It says fairly. So fairly is open. What is fair to me may not be what is fair to you. What is fair to the firm may not be what is fair to the organization, but at least it is provided that there should be remuneration of personnel. Then this is where we're ending the second study unit. So by summarizing what we have done so far, the basic concepts and principles of management are generally acceptable truths and conventions upon which the study and practice of management are based. So the basic concepts in management, effectiveness, which comes first. The next one is efficiency, which depends on effectiveness. You are going to be effective before we will now assess whether you are efficient. Where you are not effective, you are not going to be efficient. But where you are effective, you may or may not be efficient. So the next one is primacy of planning. We say that planning is the basic, the first step, the first function of management. Without planning, you are building in the air. So planning will have to be done first because it is on planning that every other function of management is rested, is assessed, is evaluated or measured. Then the next one is division of labor. Make sure that all the tasks in the organization are split in their bits so that people can be responsible for each of them. Parity of responsibility and authority, make sure that the authority, the responsibility given to employees, they have commensurate authority. Delegation of duty and authority. As you are delegating duty, equally delegate authority. Part of control, make sure that you don't give a manager more employees than they can necessarily supervise. Unity of command, let every person report to a particular command line. There should be a command line showing who reports to who. Unity of command, just talking about that every effort, whatever resource of an organization that is being expended, it should be channeled towards the corporate objective of the organization. The next one is subordination of individual interest to organizational interest. Don't place your personal needs above organizational interest. The last one is remuneration of personnel. So people will say, if you run, you lick orange. So that is what remuneration of personnel is talking about. So someone that has invested his or her time, effort, skills, the person should have a reward for these contributions. So on this note, we have come to the end of study unit 2 of module 1. So I will expect feedbacks, questions, requests for clarifications from any one of us. Simply raise your hands. Hello, are we still together?
Yeah, we're here.
Okay. You know, sometimes.
Yes, we're together.
Okay. You know, I have had experience in the past where we have a class, and I say that because attendance is mandatory in the physical class, attendance should be mandatory in the online class. And they said, okay, sir. So during the online class, my class will log on and they will leave their gadgets and be doing their own personal thing. So at any point in time, as are you following? It will take like 1 hour before you hear people say that they are following. So I just want to confirm that we are still all together in this class. And
Yes, we are.
so
Yes, sir, we are.
okay, that's good. That's good. the prominence of your reply means that all of us are still here. So, do you have contribution? Do you have questions? Like I said, any of us, that's the only new thing here that we have given them names. We have given them a particular definition. But all we have said today, I don't think nothing is new to any of us. So we can share personal experiences. We can make some inputs. It's only when you are introducing or you are taking a course that is new to everybody that you can say all you have to say and wait for questions. No, I don't only wait for questions, I wait for contributions. You can share your personal experience. So, in absence of any other question, in absence of any question, I will just advise myself that all we have done so far is well understood.
Yes, sir.
That's
Yes, sir.
that's wonderful.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, looking at the time, we're not going to start a new module. We're going to start a new module the next time we are meeting. When are we meeting next?
Mhm.
When next are we meeting?
I think it's same time next week, sir.
But from what I was told, they want a situation where we can be meeting twice a week. We were meant to meet on Monday, but it was a public holiday. Then it was postponed to, okay, then the next was to happen yesterday. Then there was a technical issue with the host. Then I was advised that we are going to take the course today. So I'll say that we are going to meet Monday next week and Wednesday next week, right?
That's fine.
Okay. So
Yeah.
when we convert this, we'll be starting with management roles and management styles. So in management roles, we'll be looking at those specific activities, those specific roles that management play in every organization and in every circumstance. Then style will mean how these roles can be deployed in any situation. So in the absence of any question coming from all of you, I want to thank you for being part of this class. And I wish we continue to improve from what we had today until the end of the class. I want it to be very, very interactive. I want all of us to be open, share what you know. Like I said, there's no non-managers here.
Mm.
At any point in time, we are managing something. Yes, the only new thing that we are giving these things we've been doing over years, their formal names, the formal terms and the formal definitions. So I'm wishing all of you a wonderful night rest. Be safe till we meet
Thank you,
next.
sir.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Wish you
Good night, sir.
Thank you, sir.
a very good
Good
night.
night,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thanks everyone for attending this class. It has been an awesome experience with Dr. Sylvester Ilo. This class will be taking place again next week, same time, hopefully. I will send the links to other classes probably by tomorrow. You guys should have a good awareness now. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.